back to the last session of the conference. My name is Marušić. I come from the School of Medicine, University of Split in Split, Croatia, and I'm one of the work package leaders in the project. In this session, we're going to talk about what happens after. So the entire project is completed, will be completed very soon, and then the embassy will live on. So we're going to talk about what this means for us that were involved in the project, and also for the whole community. And we're going to hear from 3 experts in responsible research and research integrity about their views on the promotion of responsible research in the European context and wider. So without much ado, I will start my screen, and then I will introduce my colleagues the speakers as they come on. And then I just remind you that you can post your questions in the question and answer part of the Zoom, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentations. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope you see it. So what I'm going to talk about is the Embassy Foundation. We were thinking in the project about what the best way would be to sustain what we have created during the entire project, and we decided that the foundation would be the best way to proceed, which will be a not-profit foundation. It has been established, and we thought that the best place would be to do it in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, because the project coordinators come from Amsterdam and would have the best opportunity to provide all the logistics for it. So you see the number of the foundation, and we have also instituted the management board, and within this management board there is an executive board that takes care of day-to-day decisions. So this is us as the management of the foundation. So as you see here, you see all the faces that either come from the project as work package leaders, or the advisors that followed us during the project. And here is the executive board, me as the president, Guy as the secretary, Dick Lancerat as a treasurer, and Kim, which you probably all know by now, as the administrator of the foundation. So what are we going to do? So in order to think of the future for us in the next steps, we brought forward a mission statement for the Embassy of Good Science, where we said that what we do is that we aim for the embassy to be a central platform in Europe, and not only Europe but beyond, to collect what we know and what we learn about good science, and making it available and accessible to all stakeholders, not only researchers but all stakeholders involved in research. We also want to say that Embassy has been developed by and for all who are interested and want to promote good science. And this doesn't include only the teachers or the people who are closely, the researchers, or the people who are closely related to research, such as administrative staff. We don't only include established researchers, but also we include early stage researchers, also trainers and teachers, and everybody else, including the public who is interested in good and responsible research. The embassy is and will be always inclusive and comprehensive, and we want to reflect this diversity in all aspects of responsible research. That includes not only professional role and position and research field, geographical location, and gender and nationality, and we particularly would like all research fields to get involved so that we can learn from each other and make science even better. Also, as you know from Mark's presentation, we use Wikimedia methodology and technology and approach to the embassy, so that it's continually updated and improved, and it's there for the community to create it and continue it. We're also based on this community work, where we have different parts of or different types of activities. We have contributors, and we you have seen from Mark's presentations, the numbers of them that add themes, resources, and so on. We also have research projects that have received grants, not only from the European Commission, but from other sources that can showcase their activities and products and results. And we also have ambassadors that we hope will promote and disseminate the platform. And these are the people that have already done a lot for the embassy. We are also basing the work and the existence of embassy on transparency and integrity. So we ask contributors, as you have heard from Mark yesterday, to use ORCID as a login. In this way, we ensure transparency and also give credit to the work of the people that contribute to the embassy. And of course, we expect from the contributors to adhere to the principles of honesty, accountability, reliability, and respect, those four principles that are outlined in European Code of Conduct for Research Integrity. So we also thought about who these ambassadors will be, who will be the people that will be the face of the embassy and that will spread the word about the embassy. So this is the basics that we decided to define and how to engage new members. So any researcher or professional that is actively contributing to the embassy, as I said, adding themes, representing projects and promoting the embassy in the research community can be and can become an embassy ambassador of the embassy. Again, we will welcome diversity in all aspects of research and research integrity, and we particularly would like early stage researchers and professionals to join in and become the ambassadors, because they are the future of research, and they will be able then to shape it in a way that is responsible and good. What does an embassy ambassador do? The ambassadors actively promote and disseminate the work of the embassy. They draw attention to the embassy and the community, and they motivate others to contribute to it. They have to act in accordance to the embassy declaration, which is already available on the website and which has been showcased at the World Conference on Research Integrity in Hong Kong, and also the embassy mission statement that I already explained. They should also participate in the future developments of the platform that are discussed in annual embassy ambassadors meetings. We are going to plan the next one after the end of the conference, and how you can become an ambassador for the embassy. They are appointed by the management board of the embassy foundations. The applications can be sent to the management board with motivation and ideas about how to promote embassy. And we thought that 2 years appointment would be a useful way of recruiting and refreshing the corps of our ambassadors. And this is 2 years term with the possibility of an extension. And we are going to create a kind of an e-button to recognize the ambassadors, and also we will name them in a special ambassador section that will be created at the embassy platform. So I don't want to make it much longer. The embassy will live on after the end of the entire project. So we encourage you to visit the platform, to share your knowledge and experiences, to improve the content and spread the word. And at this point, I don't know if Guy is going to show his face too, but I would like the ambassadors that are named here, that we see them also, so that you can see their faces. They come from all over Europe, and some have already moved, like Mohammed, to the States. So he's serving as an ambassador in the States. And I also want here to recognize Dorian Karatzas as our kind of special ambassador that has been promoting responsible research and the embassy in the research community. So I wonder if Guy is going to say something. Yes.
Thank you, Anna. Indeed, it's great to have a first group of ambassadors who were all willing to take that role, although it still has to be developed further, and they are enthusiastic. We asked them to be present. So, Anna, if you close your screen, then the others could. There they are. They turn on your video. And very good to see you all. So this is almost like a normal conference online in this way. Welcome to all of you. All the people you see have really done a lot for the embassy in the past 4 years. Dorian specifically in always keeping us on track and promoting the embassy in Europe, and the others in several professional roles as people working on the embassy, taking part in the project and adding a lot to a lot of content. So if you take a look at the embassy and see where the names are under the pieces, then you can see many of these names. And we wouldn't have been able to build this without you. So great to see you all. Maybe wave to the audience and to the public. Well, this is the proof that the embassy will continue after the end of the EnTIRE project, which all of you have supported so very much. Anna, back to you.
Thank you very much. So I now invite Dorian, who is our special ambassador, special envoy to represent the embassy and research integrity. So Dorian, who is the head of the Ethics and Research Integrity sector of the European Commission, DG Research and Innovation in Brussels, he's going to talk about the embassy as a reference for integrity in Europe. Over to you, Dorian.
Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be among such a young group of ambassadors. It's great, and we'll work hard to make sure that everybody knows and uses the embassy. When the embassy became an idea, and I have a problem because I don't know if you see my screen changing.
We just see.
Yes, now I do. Okay.
Black.
Right. Do you see it now?
No.
No, we just see black screen.
We saw a very promising first slide.
But it's very strange because I see it. You saw the first one, and now.
Yeah, now it's gone. Maybe if you restart the presentation, it will work like it did before. These things happen.
It always happens. I have sent the presentation to the, is it maybe easier to load the presentation from your side?
I don't know if the organizers have it, because
let me see. I'll restart it. Let me try once more.
Okay, now we see it, hopefully.
Okay, let me see. Let me go to the second slide.
Okay.
Do you see?
Yes.
Do you see the beautiful slide?
Yes.
Excellent. Right. If you have not seen this film, you have to see it. It's the bottom line. I'm not going to describe the whole film. Is this catchphrase that says that if you build it, they will come. The idea was to build through the embassy a one-stop shop for ethics and research integrity to the degree possible. And this idea has been almost realized. Embassy is up and running. The two projects presented this magnificent, for me, idea, and the European Commission took the opportunity and said, right, this is it. That's where the ethics and research integrity projects should go and make their outputs available and continue to foster the discussion on ethics and research integrity. There is a little catch. And the little catch is that although we say that if you build it, it will come, it is known from the experience that sometimes this saying it's only a prayer, as you can see in the first quote, and it's not a strategy. So we have to develop the strategy, and the strategy, continue developing the strategy. And the strategy is that once people come into the embassy, and we have seen the first day, the magnificent data, the good data that appear so far and are very promising, we have to keep people into the embassy. And for this reason, we have to do it. We have to help the embassy, keep them into the discussion, keep them into coming back, and of course, engage them and treat them in the right way. so it will be easy to have the access. They will find the right information without having to go through 300 clicks. And this takes time. And as the quote from Steve Jobs in the middle says, now we have to go again back to our clients, to the customers, to the research community, but also, as we heard yesterday, to the policymakers and see, what do they actually need? I think we have done that, and we have done that very well with the first two projects, but we have to go back, repeating the exercise and making sure that the technical aspects and the facility of access helps all actors come in and stay in. It is also important to mention at this point that ethics and research integrity is at a very good place right now. And the very good place is because, at least in the legislation of the European Union, of the European Commission, what we propose for the member states and for us to follow, ethics and research integrity is becoming a key point, a focal point. And it's not only lip service. We see it in the activities of Horizon Europe, and we see it also in the engagement of the member states and international actors in making ethics and research integrity more than particularly ethics in this particular case, more than a check, more than a red tape mechanism, to facilitate the researchers, to help the researchers to change the culture. And this is what we expect through all your activities and through the input of our projects. You can see here, for example, that the communication that we have published on the Innovation Pact, the first value in under the chapter Values and Principles of Research and Innovation is ethics and research integrity. This is already a very important policy push. And the second, and this is extremely important for us, and Anna mentioned it before, we see it in the ambassadors, but we see it also in the contribution that the young generation does to all our projects, both at the European level, but also at the national level. And it's important to note that the early career researchers, we should not be ageists, but the early career researchers need to be supported, need to have a very visible role, and at least from our own projects at the European Union for ethics and research integrity, we expect and we demand that they are treated as equal partners. Imagine an ethics and research integrity project that is accused of not treating all its participants the right way. So it's extremely important, and this becomes even more so because our president, the president of the Commission, announced that year 2022 will be the year of the European youth. We expect to play a key role there, and we expect all our projects to play a key role, and this role to become visible in the embassy. At the bottom of all our activities and at the bottom of the funding, the money that comes from the European taxpayer and facilitates the work of the two projects that contributed and all the other projects that contributing to the success of the embassy is the Council decision. So it's the decision of the member states and the European Parliament on the role of ethics and research integrity in Horizon Europe. And I would like to underline, and I do underline, that not only they will follow the principles of the European Code, but also the funding that we will be putting forward will support training opportunities in this area. So it's important to create the knowledge, but it's important to translate this knowledge into practical application through the training of various actors, including researchers, including teaching staff, and including, of course, national structures that are participating in this discussion, both at the European and at the national level. We are looking forward to that extent, to the degree possible, in order to be able to further support the funding and the policy activities that we have at the European level, to the output that will be provided. First of all, we heard the European Code refresh, which we are looking forward to it because, as you know, the European Code is now a reference document, or the ALEA Code. We call it the European Code. The European Code is a reference document in the Horizon regulation, so it becomes part of the regulatory framework, and it's extremely important for what people will say it's a soft code. I don't prescribe to this, but in any case, it's a legal it's a document that is referred in the regulation, so it becomes part of the legal framework. Of course, we are looking forward to the report of the member states on research integrity and open science. This should be available towards the end of the year, and that will give us another input in the framing of research ethics and integrity discussion at the European level, and of course the impact and the work done through our own projects. In order to facilitate, if you like, the way our projects have to find their way into the embassy and to support the work of the embassy in the near future, is to make sure that the embassy is part of our official calls that describe all the new funding that will come forward. And there, first of all, of course, we say that the material should become available in the embassy, the output of the European projects should become available in the embassy, but also that the new projects, all new projects that we finance, will try to have a structured relationship with the embassy. So the embassy will be a partner. That way, both the embassy will keep the important visibility that is given through the European funding, but also it will get the necessary funds to support its quality and its continued success. I think I will stop here because I just passed my time limit. Thank you very much, and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Dorian. Actually, you had a minute left, but
okay.
Well, congratulations on keeping the time. Thank you very much. Keep your questions till the end. And now we go to Vidar Enebakk, because with the last two presentations, we want to hear from the experts who have already great experience in how to promote research integrity and research ethics. Vidar comes from the national committees, research ethics committees from Norway, and they have a long history of excellent work in promoting research integrity and research ethics. So Vidar, over to you. We don't hear you, you're muted.
Thank you very much, Anna, for reminding me that I'm muted, but also for introduction and the invitation. I think I'll start by saying a few words about who we are, and then focus more on what we do in the national committees in Norway. As of today, we have 3 national committees called NEM, NENT, and NESH. I'm director to the third one, which is called NESH. And together, these committees cover all fields of research. So NEM covers medicine and health research, NENT covers natural science and technology, and NESH covers social science and humanities. In addition, we have a 4th unit focusing on research misconduct, which is called Granskningsutvalget, hence the acronym GRU. So together, this constitutes our unit, the national committees. And so we have already in place a coherent structure for handling research ethics in a broad and diverse way. So we have also sort of a common approach and a framework to how to talk about research ethics and research misconduct and research integrity in a systematic way, because there tends to be a lot of overlap and confusion. We also have sort of the position to balance ethics and law, and also to support institutions and researchers in understanding this sort of broader societal institution involved, especially when it comes to the challenge between a proactive ethical stance and the sort of retroactive misconduct sanctioning stance. So we have sort of the strength of a common unit. But I also want to emphasize the historical sort of development of the system, because that explains why it is as it is. And the 3 main committees, they were established as early as 1990. So we've had this system with the 3 committees for almost 30 years. And it's important because it comes out of an older and broader debate on research ethics, which includes also societal responsibility and so forth. And then only 20 years later, we got the Misconduct Committee and also the discourse on research misconduct. So that's a rather sort of recent addition to the Norwegian discourse. And then we also discovered that people in the rest of Europe talked about research integrity. And then we sort of need to sort these things out. The committees were established by the Parliament to have a function in the national research ethics system to promote research ethics in a broad way. But it's important to emphasize that they started off on a different footing, because in the medical domain, there was already in place a system in the aftermath of the Helsinki Declaration with national and regional committees and so forth, giving advice to researchers. So NEM was basically giving the advice to keep up the good work. And the big change in that realm was in 2009 with the introduction of a Health Research Act, which somehow changed the logic from ethical advice to ethical pre-approval according to law. NESH, on the other side, at that time, there was not much resources available, but there was an ongoing debate in the aftermath of the Belmont report, focusing on fundamental ethical principles for handling participants. And we also had a national debate on personal data protection and so forth. So NESH was given the mandate to provide guidelines and basically to sit down as a committee of scholars and agree on some kind of common code of conduct. And that's why the sort of the rationality or ethos of NESH always has been based on this sort of code of conduct or guideline principles. NENT on the third, as the third committee, at that time, there wasn't much at all in the field of science and technology. So this is at the start of the biotech industry, ICT development, risk uncertainty, and so forth. There's a lot of discourses going on. But no sort of sufficient ethical debate. So NENT was basically asked to provide a guideline, a checklist to be used by institutions and funders. So in this way, it explains why different fields of research are different and why it is important to respect these disciplinary differences, not only in what we study and how we study, but also because it has been regulated differently historically. So there are reasons why the system is both, we have a common approach, but we have a field-specific ethics within the different committees as well. It's also important to place the committee system in a broader tension between science and policy. And as of today, we find ourselves between the Ministry and the Research Council, and they have different functions in providing laws and regulation, and also as a research funder to sort of secure a basis for research ethics and funding. But it's also important to remember that the sort of strength of the committee system is built on the shoulders of the academic community. So we are built on a sort of logic of academic self-regulation, and our work are always in line with this fundamental principle. And that's also why that also gives us in the National Committee strengths to challenge other institutions, for instance, in policy and politics. So we have sort of a stronghold for addressing questions of ethics, also in a broader research system. And this setup is very important for sustaining fundamental norms like independence and integrity in the system itself, built, as I said, on the principle of academic self-regulation. So the main task for the National Committee is to support the institutions in fostering research integrity and research ethics. And we have a variety of tasks, which is commonly known, and then we sort of have and then the institutions have separate tasks, and we sort of we develop this together, so to speak. And the trust in our system is based on the recognition we get from the institutions, and also the participation of the researchers in the committees. So it's a very sort of intricate mix, but it seemed to work quite well. So what we do is to provide resources, and the best way to find these resources is through the webpage called forskningsetikk.no, which is, we like to think of this as our embassy. This is where people in Norway and from other countries can find our resources, both in teaching and education. There are cases and exemplars, and there are guidelines and guidances as well. We have a separate magazine, which we publish 4 times a year. It has an independent editor. And this is where people can get the broad sort of insight into what is going on internationally and in Norway. So Unfortunately, it is only in English, but sometimes we have the possibility to translate some of these pieces, like this one I wrote about fraud and manipulation in the 1830s. And one of the possible futures for the embassy will of course be to collect and share these kind of resources. We also produce books, which are made available, open access for people interested. So far, the only one in English is on Internet Research Ethics. We have conducted a survey called RINO, Research Integrity in Norway, together with the University in Bergen, which is more of a survey on FFP and QRP, which is perhaps more relevant for governance and the ministry. But the main sort of document, the main tool that we provide, speaking for NESH, is the guidelines. And again, if you look at the timeline, when NESH was established in 1990, the first task was to develop a sort of common set of standards to which researchers in the field were to be committed. So it's developed by researchers in the committee for researchers and students, and also with input from the research community. And it has to be a living document, so it sort of feeds on criticism and exemplars and testing in practice. So it is being revised and republished in 1999, 2006, and most recently in 2016. There's also forthcoming a new revised edition as of basically as of now. Hopefully you will get it for Christmas also in English. We also have separate guidelines for Internet Research Ethics provided by NESH, which is available on the web page. And also the other committees provide these kind of resources based on the principle of academic self-regulation. So these are tools for researchers to use themselves in practice. This is just a selection. As I mentioned, the NENT started off with a checklist. It was only by 2007 that they published their own research ethic guidelines for NENT, and these are currently being revised as of today. NEM and other committees also provide guidelines to be used by researchers. So to sum up, I think the Norwegian exemplar is just like one way of organizing this. We know that it's not perfect, it has flaws, but it could be used as an example if you are considering developing national systems. We have some experiences in how to organize this in a way which secures legitimacy. And it might be useful to discuss with other people from other countries as well. I guess time is running up. So yeah, I will just sum up. I think the strength is that we have a coherent system, which makes it much easier to handle these sort of conflicting discourses of research ethics, research integrity, and research misconduct. We are able to handle that in a rather systematic way. We have a built-in respect for disciplinary differences with the 3 independent committees, which are independent from each other as well. And we are also becoming increasingly aware that we have a specific Norwegian national style as we learn more from our European colleagues. So we were sort of used to talk about research ethics, and then everybody else was talking about research integrity. And now I think somehow we are talking about research ethics and research integrity, which we find more recognizable. I'd like to emphasize the importance of independence and integrity if you consider to build these kind of systems. It's important for transparency, trust, and legitimacy. I'd like to emphasize the proactive approach, sort of supporting the institutions themselves, and also the work we do on public outreach and communication, so that we bring this knowledge not just to the researchers and the research institutions, but also to the broader research system and to the public debate. Thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you, Vidar, so very much. And now we go to the last presentation of today from Asaël Rouby, who is the Secretary General, it's Interim Secretary General of the Luxembourg Agency for Research Community, and comes from Luxembourg National Research Fund. And Asaël is going to talk about how Luxembourg Agency for Research Integrity promotes responsible conduct of research. So over to you, Asaël.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks a lot to all, also the president. I'm the last one talking about the small country. And so how we in Luxembourg, we are quite small. Luxembourg is the middle of Europe. We have 600,000 inhabitants. We have only
Excuse me, Asaël, we are looking at your presenter's view, not the presentation. If you can change the screens that you're presenting.
Yes, I'm again, try to share again. Let's see if it works. Yes. Better?
We see just your slide, but it's okay. I think you can, we still see your presenter's view, unfortunately. Maybe if you could leave it just like this and then go through it. Again, your presenter slide.
I leave it that way.
I think if you leave it like this,
I leave it that way. So
yes.
I just want to introduce Luxembourg, having a few inhabitants, only one university, 3 public researchers. And you see that we have a lot of nationality, 170,000 nationality for this small of inhabitants. And more, we have, like the Swiss present this afternoon, also 18% are speaking minimum 3 languages. So everything is quite international in Luxembourg, and even more in the scientist domain. We have 80% of non-Luxembourger, so multilingual. Therefore, in Luxembourg, we set up a campus, and LARI, Luxembourg Agency for Research Integrity, is part of this multi-international scheme that we set up in Luxembourg. The mission of LARI was at that time set up during the Luxembourg presidency 2015, where we set up to promote research culture. Also at the time with the World Conference in Amsterdam, with the agenda of Amsterdam, to have a kind of mindset as well as what we had before with the revision of the ALEA Code of Conduct. So LARI decided to be set up with 2 missions. The one was to promote responsible conduct on research with trainings, education, as well as consultation and investigation, but also coaching. And I think today we will focus a little bit of this coaching approach. And the second part of the mission of LARI was definitely to have a commission on research integrity composed by 5 experts from abroad, where they will have to report to the board of LARI. Everything is on our LARI webpage, so you could go through if you want more details. Who is LARI? LARI is a non-profit association, not a foundation, but association similar for this flexibility, set up by the 5 person composing the Fonds National de la Recherche, who is the only founders, as well as university and the 3 other ones. They are part of LARI. This is the first one. The second one is the Secretary General, as me today as an interim, to be the contact point for everything coming, starting discussion and coming to the commission. The commission is the number 3, where we have 5 external members. They just provide advice, written advice, recommendation to the LARI Secretary General, who will share it with the board and so on. And the last one is LARI coaches. The LARI coaches were at that time taken over from the Philips Research in Eindhoven experience, where we kind of have coaches who assist at that time in the Philips Research on the medical device, with helping them to go through all the ethical recommendation committees. And we translate it in our Luxembourgish way and say that coaches are a person helping to go from point A to B in a safe way. So they will have, there's some roadblocks who could help from, for example, the methods, overambitious or underestimating the risk, or for any consultation, literature approach, we set up some contact points. We call it coaches. You have ambassadors, you have contributors. In Luxembourg, we set up a new function. These are the coaches. You just have a small video. You could flash also the QR code to get this small video explaining more in detail what it is. But the role we find out with this 1 university and 3 institutions, as well as the Fonds National de la Recherche, that each institution, each coach in each institution has his own roles, but also in own way to have a kind of longitudinal approach to guide the researcher to them in-house to come up with the complexity of getting ethical approval, of perhaps also on the IPR issue, on the patenting, later on licensing, but also on the data they're supposed to. And every consultation, every discussion at the LARI coach level, we have a group of 5 to 10 coming together, 1 or 2 per year. We set up then updated FAQ. We try to put out for the abroad, also in-house, sharing how we see this, how we could challenge ourselves, and how we help to improve the system. So everything is quite small in Luxembourg, which we try to make it transparent as needed and also proactive in a sense. And therefore, the question of today is also, what are the next steps? We definitely see possibility of improvement. The system in Luxembourg is quite young, but for the coaches, are they trained? Yes, we set up at that time, 2018, a coach handbook where there are different principles you could look at in compared to the code of conduct, transparency, as well as the Singapore statement, having accountability and so on. And also we take on board, and I just put the picture that one of our coaches got also trained by the embassy. So we also try to learn from others and try to improve our system. And this is for me a virtual circle and a possible way out where also the embassy could contribute. And we are thinking of establishing a kind of learning platform, and that's what you did with the cases. So this is definitely something is needed. Also invite different speakers and trainers are, how you call it, the ambassadors, just to help us in our country to set it up. But also for me, what is could be the trend for the future is a kind of awareness creation, linking the coaches, because altogether coaches with the commission, we are LARI. So linking the coaches to the supervisor teams, also among institutions, and try to find different bridges helping to set up this kind of awareness creation, and also having this commission who is providing advice and perhaps giving now a helicopter view how with anonymized way they could cross case finding and also help to improve everything. So thanks a lot. I was faster than foreseen, but I give the floor back to Anna.
Thank you very much, Asaël. That leaves us time for questions. If I can call also Dorian to start his video so that we have the presenters on. And I would like to start with the questions while they are coming on. I don't know who's, Asaël, can you stop sharing the screen perhaps? That will be better. Good. So now we are there. Okay. I don't know if Dorian is there.
Yes.
Yeah, good. So can I have a question for you? And I think that all the presentations that we have are really good because they showed us, a view from policymakers. Then we had a country that has long experience in research ethics and research integrity. And then we have a very small country that has successfully implemented research ethics and research integrity. And my question for you, Dorian, is about how to ensure, I wouldn't call it compliance. Now in medicine, we usually talk about patient compliance, but now we call it collaboration. So it's a two-way process and not just asking to do it. And I think that it's a very good way of the commission that it didn't say, okay, these are the rules and you follow them. It has transferred this responsibility to the institutions. So my question is how you're going to ensure that there is true collaboration and in a way, that people are really going to use the embassy for information and to make better their work in research ethics and research integrity.
Well, that's a difficult one, but I'm going back to my presentation. We've built after 3 years, 4 years, a system that is available for everybody out there. The system with your proposal provides for individual or collective action. It's a wiki style. So people will have to come in and play their role. From the Commission side, what we do is we promise to facilitate the operation of the embassy with additional funding and further collaboration with the projects that we will finance. But until we manage to make this participation worthwhile for everybody that is in, the success of the embassy will be pending. The first part, it's successful, it's built. The second part, which is the first interactions, is also successful, it's there. The third part, which is the longevity and long-term impact of the embassy, has to be built. And from our side, that's what we are trying to do. Without individual participation and collaboration, individual meaning also at the institutional level, at the university level, at the laboratory level, this participation has to be somehow acquired. And the goodness of the embassy is to build a system that will facilitate this kind of participation and collaboration. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Dorian. I think that that's very important. I see a question from Guy to everyone, but I will keep it for the end. And I would like to ask Vidar, because Norway comes with long history of efforts in research ethics and research integrity. What do you think was most crucial for a success? I mean, I want that we learn something from a success story for the embassy, so that we know, what to work on. Dorian has already indicated some ways that we can go. But what do you, from your experience, long experience from Norway, can offer as advice to us?
Well, I think I came into this job 7 years ago, coming from the academy. I'm a historian by training, I think I have to sort of rediscover the history of my predecessors to sort of answer your question. And I think the best way to answer it is that the system itself is built on sort of academic foundation. The whole way of organizing it is in itself built on research, academic research. So just to find this space between policy and politics and how to maneuver and sort of secure the legitimacy from the research academic sector, that's the key, because the whole system has to be in accordance, as we see it, with academic culture itself. And the second that contract is breached, legitimacy is it's not gone, but it's partly lost. So that's basically what gives me a platform to do good work in the policy system, because we speak on behalf of the research community itself. And we are also becoming increasingly aware what kind of room space that is, and how necessary that is to challenge, for instance, the ministry or the research council if they introduce funding schemes or structures which are in themselves ethically problematic. So we have sort of a stronghold built on academic culture in the policy system, and it takes some working and reflection to find that space and make that space legitimate, but it's possible, and probably that's what you guys are doing in the union as well, to sort of find, and for the commission to find that space and keep it. So
hopefully, the embassy is a kind of bottom-up approach with the support from top-down approach. I think that's a good solution. Yeah. And Asaël, my question for you would be about how when you have such an innovation like coaches that you have, is it difficult to get them accepted? For example, this is also the question for us at the embassy, that we get it accepted at the university, at the places of teaching. How difficult it is, and what can you give to us as an advice from your experience with such innovative
I think, thanks, Anna. And I will answer in 2 steps. The first one is everything is quite young, 3 years old. Funding agency is not able to help you that way. So therefore, yes, we find some volunteers. They're not paid, they're free to work. Yes, we try, and this is a daily challenge for me as Secretary General, to convince the CEO to accept that one person is dedicated for that. And therefore, the second part of my answer will be, we need to define a little bit more precise what are the roles, what are also the tasks and the rights of these coaches. There's a mix for me in my mind of ambassador, the division that you have in your ambassador, that the coaches are also in. So we need definitely to convince, to give them personal rights and abilities, duties, that they have a kind of status with some free time for working for LARI, because everything is small in Luxembourg, and therefore we take over not writing guidelines, because everything is moving on, and having that 80% of non-foreigners working in Luxembourg, there's not a need to find a common language, there's a need to explain what we want and the common goals. Therefore, we take over the code, the ALEA code, and say, this is the code we want to use, and try to use the existing translation. It's quite fast, and it's trying to set up our own codes, because some years later there will be new things on. So we try to catch the moment, and the coaches were for us the example of having, at the EU level, we say national contact points. And here we have institutional contact points who are trained and able to provide their knowledge and come back to the office and say, we have an issue, we have discussion, and have a kind of working group, and have frequently asked questions to help with having a fast support for that.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good idea. I think our ambassadors can be, in a way, coaches for research integrity when they go to their community. I think that's a good step, and thanks for this. Okay, we have had 2 comments. I'm still keeping Guy's question till the end because we still have some time. It's nice to see that we have people from different parts of the world, and I have seen my colleagues here, like Iveta Simera from my time with the Equator Network. But we also have questions from Chidi Zoe Ike from Africa, who says that it's a beautiful and enlightening presentation. And she says that she was wondering, could the future of the embassy cover other continents such as Africa? I'm from Africa, Nigeria, and I truly admire the progress Europe is making in the research integrity and ethics. Will the future be global, including Africa? I think Dorian, this is music to your ears, and I know that we have a lot of collaboration with Africa on research integrity, and especially involvement of different geographical regions in research. So maybe this is a question for Dorian too.
Thank you. I think actually it's a question for everybody, because in a sense, we can put, the Commission can put a little bit of oil in the engine, right? We can put a topic, for example, collaborate with African countries or Asian countries or whatever, depending on the policy framework that we have. Right now, Africa is a priority for the European Commission. So in all our calls, you will see the obligation, if you like, to find partners in Africa. This is only step number 1, because how these partners will transmit the knowledge in a wider audience in Africa is a different step which we do not intervene in. So in the long chain of events, we put the oil in the engine, which is the financing for the participation, the sharing of the knowledge, but then we expect, and there the embassy can play a fundamental role. We expect these people to come back, distribute the knowledge throughout their African networks, and people will start using the embassy or other services. Obviously, for me, the interest is the embassy. Start using the embassy in order to develop more expertise and more knowledge. So that's how we see, if you like, a dreamy cycle. We know it doesn't work always like this, but that's the direction that we want to go forward.
Yeah,
thanks, Anna.
Thank you. So you build it, and then people have come and continue building it. And I think it's very important to say now that also the Embassy of Good Science is going to be present at the World Conference of Research Integrity, which is going to be in Africa, down under in Cape Town. So I also would like to finish with a question to all of the presenters. This comes from Guy, who asks, how can the embassy help you in your work? This is to all speakers, not only to you. And also, if you have suggestions for further development of the embassy, what you would like to see that the embassy develops. Of course, it will be up to the community too, but it would be good to have ideas to start with. I don't know who wants to start. Vidar, yes.
Well, I think one thing is what I would call not standardization, but harmonization, a place where we can work together and share experiences and cases and resources in a not just policy context, but also slightly academic, to sort of rediscover the academic core of good science. And I think the embassy is sort of a stronghold for that. It will also be important, I think, to be a place to continue these discussions, because coming from north of Europe, we have learned a lot of engaging in this kind of communities, and it is crucial that there is some place where we can continue to meet and share experiences across borders. So I think that's very important. So together with the ALIA report, which is sort of a text that we can look to, we now have the embassy as a place that we can continue to discuss and share experiences. And I think that's a good combination. So yeah, keep up the good work.
Yeah, even for researchers in research integrity, it would be good to have a place where we can go to all other research projects and other activities, so that we don't duplicate when we're working together on research integrity and research ethics. I think it's also very important to showcase the ongoing research and activities so that we can learn from them in a much more efficient way. Asaël, any ideas?
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me was, as a young country, even a senior, in looking at different aspects of the ethical definition and research integrity, is from the learning effect from each other. So there's a knowledge now in place. There are other places where I think there was not this level of awareness, where you have a kind of huge cases, huge literature review, and this is something you should keep updated, that we could learn from each other, have a kind of interaction. And this interaction could be the way we do just today, but also have thinking together, have Dorian later on board to see how the Commission see everything and how you see the different trends, because you just identify some of the trends. There are other things going on with open access, with other things where the transparency is also a request. And I think the ethical and research integrity is extremely important. We just have the last 2 years with the pandemic, and we see it's still important to continue fostering on that. So creating this culture of research integrity could be at the end of this embassy. So I see an added value that you pick out this aspect, because you have an expertise, and this expertise is the best expertise we ever had. So there are different projects going on, but your one was really in parallel existing thing at the, you mentioned the World Conference, you could mention the mutual learning exercise, was also things going on. There was some networking existing in Europe or elsewhere, but the bridge for everything for me could be this foundation.
Yeah, it's true. The embassy can be a place for networking and for meeting each other. Dorian, do you have any final?
I think the last comment is basically the bottom line. That's what will make the success of the embassy. There is no room for failure. It has to be successful as a meeting place, as an opportunity for people to exchange. And for me, for example, a good test will be if the embassy is used by the European Commission research staff. We have approximately 2,000 people working in research in different levels. So for me, that will be an offering to my own colleagues to see how much they can learn from the embassy. Obviously, I don't expect 2,000 people to go into the embassy. It's not realistic. But the people that care for ethics and research integrity, and they have it into their portfolio, I expect them to go there and find the information or ask the questions that they might need to have. And that will be already, for me, a measure of success. The suggestion, it's the holy grail of any meeting place, electronic meeting place. How long you can keep the people in it, and how you entice them to come back. I don't have an answer for Guy or for anybody else in that matter. We just have to try. And we have to extend the audience not only to the, we should not only preach to the converted. We have to go out because, for example, in the ethics of emerging technologies, we cannot only talk to the ethicists or to the people that do research integrity. We have to involve the people that actually do the work, the bench science, because they are the ones that we want to attract. And this is the biggest challenge, I think, for the future. I don't have an answer, but policy-wise, that's where we are aiming. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. And so I give it over to Guy. Thank you to the presenters once again. You have given us a lot of hope, but also lots of expectations for the embassy. So over to Guy. Thanks.
Thank you, Anna. Actually, I would like to ask everybody who is in as a panelist to share their video now, so that we just keep on looking, at least looking at each other. As I already mentioned before the break, it's nicer to see faces, and especially to see the faces of those people who have been working so hard with us over the past period. Thank you also, speakers in the last session, and I'm really pleased with your answer to my question, what can the embassy do? And you gave good examples, and I think that sets a standard for us to go for. And it's actually also in line with what we have hoped from the beginning. So in that sense, I'm looking back at a very fruitful conference, an overview of what we have reached, the areas we've touched upon, and all the speakers and all the chairs have helped to make this clear and to put an agenda for us. Personally, I think we're at a moment where we can be, if I may say so, proud about what we got, what we did, but indeed there is still a lot of work to be done. What we did was done largely by all the people who are now here, the ambassadors, the staff, the work package leaders, with the support of people from other projects like SOT4I, like Virtue, projects which helped us to get real content in, and with the support of the EU, mentioned by Dorian, and thank you for that. So we did a lot of, we had a lot of support in the past periods. We also had quite some difficulties to overcome. If you imagine that we had to build a technical device, which now looks nice and simple, but which is of course not as simple as it is. And I would like to thank Alexander and Mark for the hard work they did in that respect, but also the aspect which Momkai added to this, so the front end and all the people working on that. I remember our co-creation workshops for the front end. Co-creation now is a buzzword, Niels, you know it, but it's actually, we did this before it was a buzzword. We already did that. So I think that was a very good step. And yeah, we're glad to see that there's so much interest and so much hard work has been done in making all things available, in connecting, in thinking about the theme pages, the instruction pages for the trainings, and doing the work. So I think that was great. I also see, and that I think that's good, that we're indeed in a new role, all of us. So there is the management board as foundation, which takes over certain responsibilities from the entire project in a new sense, in a new role. And for all of you who have been working so hard in thinking along for the structure, but also filling the structure, you now have the role of ambassador. And ambassador means that you're not going to do exactly the same as you did in the past. Of course, I do hope that you will keep on working on content, but also that you think along and be creative as you were in the past, and now in a different position. So not 40 hours a week, or maybe not everyone, but sometimes even 50, sometimes 30, whatever. But a little bit more from distance, but still working on. I think this is what we should try to achieve. Specifically, I would like to also to come back to some of the things which have been said just a while ago. What are we aiming for? We want to continue discussions, and we should do that, and we should do that in all kinds of ways. So discussions between ambassadors, discussions between researchers, discussions between projects, within projects. We want to keep everything updated, and of course the technical possibilities are there, and that's good, but hopefully the system will also do that. And we will want to keep people in, as Dorian so adequately said. It's good to see that people are interested and will work with us, and also in the near future, and we have to keep that going. Yeah, as a whole, as an end conference, I think we can all look back at a project which was ambitious, sometimes a little bit, let's say, differently going than expected or foreseen, but with all the enthusiasm which everybody had, it has really been worthwhile, and many good things have been developed. So the content and the structure, they are different from what we thought, but still they are there. looking back, I think is good. So the ENT conference is a moment for that, but I'm really most happy that the ENT conference is also looking forward and seeing how we can continue. And Anna, I'm glad that you are, as a president of the foundation management board, and therewith as the president of the foundation itself, that you will continue this, but also for all the others who have worked with us. And we will make sure that we organize activities which help us to come further. I was specifically also pleased with the question from Africa. Of course, we will expand beyond Europe, and we will try to, and we need your input. And that was great to see that this also in the Virtue project. Related to that, I can draw your attention to the ENT conference of the Virtue project, which is in about a month's time, so end of November, where we will look back at what we achieved. And I think the Virtue project was a really good project in, let's say, making the embassy work, in the sense that trainers actually trained other people in Europe and beyond, and also used the embassy and filled the embassy with their material. So that project was a good example. We hope that many more projects will come. And as Dorian just mentioned, the EU is setting the stage for that. And thank you for that. Thank you all for your contributions yesterday and today. But not only that, as I already said, your contribution over the past 4.5 years. And thank you already for all your enthusiasm and potential contributions in the near future. Thank you, and let's keep in touch, and have a nice evening, have a nice day, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.